Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Triple Threat Comics YouTube channel. I'm your host, Ian Miller. Tonight, we're joined here with writer and creator Robert Jeschonek to talk about an incredible project. Robert, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on, Ian. Really good to be here.
It's good to have you on too. I'm always grateful to meet new indie creators. Well, new to me, but who have been in the business for good number of years. But yeah, I'm always excited to meet new people.
Yeah,
So
me too.
before we get started in the project in question, talk to us about how you got started in this business.
Wow. Well, like so many people out there in your audience, I'm sure I have
Yeah,
always loved comics. I've always, since I was a kid,
yeah,
and I love the way the comics industry has developed, and by that I mean the indie side of it, which
yeah,
has really taken off. And by that I mean small press stuff, um, crowdfunded projects that would not have existed back in the 70s because we didn't have the technology, we didn't have the ability for much of
yeah.
this to be created, let alone distributed. So I love it, and I've always wanted to work in it. So a number of years back, I used to be a letter hack for one thing. When I
Really?
was younger, I had about 70 some fan letters printed in comics, and then eventually, long story short, I became a prose fiction writer, and then I also got involved in writing comics. I wrote some things for DC back in the day, and currently I write for Ahoy Comics. I do prose pieces for them as well as some comics pieces. So yeah, and also write for Back Issue Magazine, which is
What?
cool.
Wow.
Yeah, very cool. I'm working on a piece right now, and I did just finished one recently, and yeah, I'm really loving that.
Well, that's
So
fantastic. That's fantastic. This is definitely up my alley. Because I've actually submitted to Ahoy Comics many times. That you know, they're probably like we don't have a availability right now, but still, I love those guys, and I would keep buying them. But this is cool.
yeah, aren't they? They are such great guys, and they are so inventive and they're doing something
Yeah,
different
they
there.
really are. Yeah,
Hmm. They and Tom Peyer, of course, came from the mainstream world and had put his own twist on that, and I love that. I love working with them. And it's a great market to sell fiction, short fiction.
I know.
So we've had, probably about 30 pieces published in their back pages, as well as
Oh,
some.
that's fantastic. That's
So yeah,
fantastic.
a good market. And I write
Well,
novels and articles and all kind of stuff. So just look me up online; you'll find my stuff.
well, don't worry. They gotta make sure that they can find your books very easily because I got not just the link to the tonight's topic, but also to your personal website. And I
Yeah,
looked at some of the titles already when I was on there. They look fantastic. So I
thanks.
got to buy some early Christmas shopping.
I
If I'm being
appreciate.
honest, of
Thank
course, of
you.
course, well, of
I
course.
know.
Again, yeah. Well, I guess we're indie guys, so we gotta support each other.
Yeah, that's one of the things I love about indie is it is a very mutually supportive universe. It's not so much like a cutthroat thing. Like,
Yeah,
once you get in on the other side, it's like, everybody else, you good luck. I got mine. You get your. It's more like, hey, what a higher sea lifts all boats, right? So everybody's trying to help
exactly.
each other out when they can, and I love that.
Yeah, so do I. And I definitely helped a bunch of people on this channel, just to get their dreams,
Hmm.
financed and funded. And obviously, you guys had yours already funded. So, but let's
Yeah,
definitely talk about it. Let's definitely talk about it. So,
yeah.
tell us what is Legends of Indie Comics words only.
Well, it's a collection of prose stories, right? So prose short stories, text pieces featuring classic indie comics characters as written by their creators. So, for example, in the new volume, we have two volumes so far, and the one that we
Hmm.
just we're still currently in a late pledge stage for the
Yeah.
second book. Um, for example, that includes a story about Nexus, right? That awesome character from back in
Wow.
the day, as written by one of his co-creators, Mike Barron. And we also have Star Slammers, which was created by Walt Simonson. We have Walter Simonson writing a story about the Star Slammers. So it's a book of text pieces. But then we also have, thanks to our generous backers, we have black and white illustrations to accompany each story. So each story would be like an illustration, a story, an illustration, a story.
Oh, this is fantastic.
It's jam packed, man. It'd be like over 500 pages and just all kinds of great stuff. And we have really raised the bar. We've like tried to make the book more diverse and more of a history, right?
Yeah.
Of indie comics and some of the stages it's been through, all the way back to the undergrounds of
Oh
the
my
60s
God.
and 70s. We got Mark Bodie. He's the son of Vaughn Bodie, who was a famous creator of Cheech Wizard, back in the day.
Yeah.
He died too young, but he left behind a couple of stories. And Mark generously has added those to the mix of the book, as well as writing some of his own. So we have some never before read fiction pieces written by Vaughn Bodie, including some never before seen Vaughn Bodie artwork. So we have all the way back to the undergrounds, and then through alternative comics and indie comics, and it's just, we try to get a real mix of everything in this one. It's just packed.
Yeah, it is packed, especially by the serious talent in here, because
Mhm.
some of these obviously, are big names.
Yeah.
Obviously when they were doing these comics, they weren't as big as they became, but wow, to go back to some of their original creations, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's wonderful that they're willing to do that. I mean, most of these folks, they're busy. They've got careers, right? Creative careers. They've done well. Like Howard Chaykin, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that guy continues to publish prodigiously, right? He's a
Yeah.
prolific writer and artist and illustrator beyond compare. And yet he was willing to write a fiction piece for this book. And it says and provide an illustration. He doesn't need that. That guy doesn't need this book, but he's adding to the mix.
Yeah, for God's sakes, the guy's had so many runs in the shadow, alone, and continues to be, I could say a lot of great things about all this talent right here, but you're already telling it for me. But yeah.
Well, Garth Ennis too. He's in here with a story. I mean, Garth freaking Ennis, right? That guy.
Exactly.
He's at the top of his success. I mean, so far, with the boys and everything that he's done, Preacher and his Punisher work from Marvel and his war comics, and he's writing a war comic story for this book. And again, he doesn't need this. I mean, he doesn't. But he is so nice. He's like, sure, guys. You guys are getting together in the barn. You're putting together a show. Why not? So I mean, love it. That's the spirit of indie, I think, like that you were talking about.
It is true. It is a spirit, because again, when you hear about exciting projects like that, then you're like, okay, now I have to be a part of it, because look at the insane talent. But also going back to something that I worked on when I was a younger person, like, okay, now I get it. Now I can go back to something I love doing, but also have some sort of unfinished business, because I think that's what a lot of the creators do. They have unfinished business with some of these characters in this book, and I'm glad they're able to get the chance to go back and finish, story ideas that they had all those years ago.
That's exactly true. Some of them, I'm not going to call them out by name, but some of them have said that they relished the opportunity to revisit some of their characters because they did, as you say, have unfinished business, but they were never quite in the right frame of mind to put it back together. And now that they've gotten the spark again, they're like, I'm ready to rock and roll. Let's do some more comics with this character or that character. And in fact, in this very volume, we have a couple of characters like that. So it's really cool that we've been able to recruit these people and get them involved in this project. And it, like I said, it benefits both sides. And it's exciting.
It also gets the. I'm sorry. Go on.
No, that's okay. Go ahead.
No, it also gets the younger audience who hadn't experienced these characters before to go back and say, "Well, what was this character like? Where can I find this?"
Yep, I think it helps. I do. I really do think that it cross-pollinates. As you know, anything you put out there, right? Somebody's going to read it, and it'll generate interest, and somebody might discover some of these characters that they would not have otherwise sought out. Like younger generations, rising generations of comics fans, right? They have their own interests. They have their own characters that they love, manga, superhero, whatever, whatever that they're into, sci-fi, lit RPG stuff, whatever is their thing. That's great. But then there's all this other stuff that went before, and they might not know about it. And so by looking at a book like this, they sort of have like a triptych or a history of indie, and they can go back and say, who is this guy or this woman? I mean, who are these characters? They look really cool. I'll have to check them out. And then they go and seek out the trades or whatever, and they get into it. And it's beneficial, I think.
It's true. And I'm seeing more and more people turning to indie comics now versus mainstream because they want variety. They want some originality.
Yeah. I mean, the mainstream publishers, of course, they put out great material. You can't argue with that. They've got great talent in those.
Exactly.
Those hallowed bullpens. What?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But indie is there's so much more freedom to do what you want, right? And it's just like it's in that explosion of indie spirit and indie freedom, started decades ago, and now it's really reached its culmination. You go into a comic store now, a direct market comic store with your local, whatever, your local dealer, and like you see all these shelves, and they're just covered with comics, and you've got a lot from the big two, or an Image, which I consider to be indie still, even despite their success and their size. But there's so much other stuff out there to choose from, and so much variety of subject matter and style and quality. It's just like so much, and it wasn't there before. Like when you and I were growing up. I mean, you're younger than I am, I suspect, but still, we didn't have everything that's out there now. But what happened back then laid the groundwork for it.
It's true, because when I started getting into this business, this was like 2014. When I was in college, indie wasn't where it is now.
Yeah.
It's more accessible because obviously because of the internet, but also because of Kickstarter and some of these other, online websites.
Yeah.
Told by very passionate creators that came from those periods that we talked about, 70s, 80s, 90s, because they loved the books that they read as kids and those periods, and they're like, well, why don't we get back to that type of storytelling?
Yeah. There's a real difference too. I mean, between mainstream and what you saw from the indies, even back in the 80s and the early 90s. I mean, there was a real freedom of expression and today in indie comics that you don't necessarily see in the mainstreams. They're limited somewhat by their desire to maximize sales to the broadest audience possible, right? They don't narrow cast, they don't narrow publish, niche publish. They broadly publish. So they got to watch, and they got to always make sure that at the end of the adventure, whether that adventure lasts one issue or 20 issues, that things go back to the way they were. They can't stray too far, right, from the past. And if they do, it's never for a long period of time. It eventually will come back to where they once were. But in the indie world, you can do whatever you want. I mean, I can think of so many examples, and it's so freeing to the creator as it is freeing to the reader to enjoy those kind of stories. You don't know what's going to happen. Anything can happen.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. That's the beauty about indie. You can create different worlds. You can create your own rules, but anything can go. If you think you have the biggest idea that you have that's so big, you're like, I have to tell this story. I have to make sure there's an audience for this because I can't be the one that likes this type of stuff. And then when you see people reaping, buying the books and then enjoying it, you're like, oh, they got it. They got it.
Yep. Hey, the readers are out there, man. No matter how esoteric you might think your work is, if you put it out there and if you promote it sufficiently, right, you have to put something into it. You have to get it out there, make it seen. But you can find your audience, and they will find you, and they will respond, and then it'll grow. It's an organic kind of thing. But it can be difficult to make your work seen. That is a challenge, I admit.
Oh yeah.
That's one of the good things about crowdfunding, especially. I think Kickstarter is a great example of that. They bring something of a ready-made audience to your work. They have opportunities for you to be discovered that maybe don't exist on other crowdfunders in exactly the same way.
Yeah.
Some of them are more, and some of those crowdfunding platforms are specifically targeted to comics fans. I do know that, but they maybe don't deliver as much of an audience. Like if you put something on Kickstarter and just sort of like let it spin, people will find it. They might be more likely to find it than on other platforms.
But sure. And then, especially with the Kickstarters I've covered in the last couple of episodes, there is, an audience that just looks at random stuff because sometimes, it's like certain Kickstarters will actually connect to other ones saying, if you like this, then you'll love this.
Yep. And they've been building that network and that audience for a long time, and it shows. I was able to come to this book, Volume 2, with the audience from Volume 1, which was helpful. And I could let them know, hey, if you liked Volume 1, here's Volume 2 is ready for you. And I was able to bring people in from social media and other places. But Kickstarter also provided pathways to finding new readers, and that's what helped it to succeed as much as it did. So it's just you can't beat it. I love the fact that it's opened things up, and it's become almost just an expected part of indie comics work. Of course you're going to crowdfund your book, right? It's just how it works. And even the major publishers are doing that. And I love too how like these major creators are so involved in collecting their work and publishing directly through these crowdfunding platforms. And people who are doing some of the best work of their careers and have such great bodies of work behind them to republish. Like, for example, Howard Jeschonek. He's got all this great stuff to put out. And he publishes through Image primarily, but he's also done some crowdfunding stuff. And I mean, it's just, it's incredible how things have really taken off in that direction.
It's true. It's true. And I love the fact that this is happening because again, we need obviously more support, and we also the readers are just ready for newer stuff to them.
Yeah, it's great. You never know what you're going to find either once you start searching around. I mean, there are just comics of every variety. Graphic storytelling is, I think, bigger than ever. I think it rivals the like the 30s and 40s when it was sort of like in this golden age, like the golden age of mainstream comics and comics in general. I don't know. I'd be interested to see the numbers on that, but I've seen old photos of readers at newsstands like back in the 30s and 40s, and they're just like covered with like hundreds and hundreds of comics. And I think they look similar to the direct market comic stores that we go to now. And they're just, the walls are and so are the crowdfunding platforms. There's so many opportunities for reading. And that's one of the things that we wanted to bring out here with these books. We wanted to bring some of the joy of the indie spirit to contemporary readers, people who might not otherwise have been familiar with these characters and some of these creators even. I think everybody knows Walter Simonson, anybody who's a comics fan, but they might not all know the Star Slammers, which wasn't necessarily an indie publication at first, though he eventually shifted into indie. But it started out as a creator-owned book at Marvel, which back then, that was really innovative. That's part of the history of indie that we wanted to illustrate. So, names like him and Mark Verheiden, he's created The American, which was a really well-received comic from Dark Horse back in the day, and people loved it. It won awards. And then he kind of, faded into the background for a while. And now is the perfect time to bring this character back in our politically fraught era. And Mark Verheiden, he became a highly successful screenwriter. He didn't need to bring the character back, but he was looking forward to the opportunity. And so, he joined in. So you get to read a story about The American, and Bill Willingham, who created Fables, which was super successful for DC, right? Vertigo. And he brought one of his other creations, The Pantheon, to the book. So we have that. And it's just anything. And we also have a really cool story I wanted to mention while I'm thinking of it. And that is, as one our top stretch goal was that if we reached a certain level, which we did in the funding, that we would have a crossover story featuring as many of the characters in the book as possible. We have just about all of them in this one, and they're all going to link up. And these characters from oh my goodness, I'm blanking. Henry Vogel's X Thieves comic, which was big back in the 80s. And they're the time traveling extraterrestrial thieves, and they zip around through different realities, and they're going to encounter all the different characters from the book. And so we'll have like this
Ooh.
big crossover, sort of like the old crossovers that they had in the indie world, not necessarily the mainstreams, but like Unity, which was from Valiant, and Crossroads, which was a First Comics crossover, and Total Eclipse, which was from Eclipse Comics.
Yeah.
So, again, that's in a spirit of what has gone before, and yet reinvented for a younger audience.
Oh, this is so cool, especially taking me back to Eclipse Comics because I just recently started reading the Airboy series. I know
Oh,
exactly which crossover you're talking about.
yeah. Oh, those Airboy comics, they're great.
Oh man,
Dixon, Tim Truman was involved up front. Dave Stevens did a cover with Valkyrie on the one.
yeah,
Oh my God, they were really good. I remember when they came out, they made a big splash, man.
I know, I know. I used to buy all those comic zine magazines. I was like, wow.
Yeah,
Uh,
they were really successful. I would have loved to do something. Maybe we might yet do something with Airboy in a future volume. I mean, it's a public domain character. I'd like to
yeah,
get the people who were involved in bringing him to Eclipse, though. So I don't know. We'll have to
yeah,
see. Because I'd
absolutely.
like to do a third volume. I mean, we did well with the second volume, and there are other creators who were unable for one reason or another to participate in this book. And they're all names you would recognize, so I'm not going to go down through the list, but I would love to
Yeah.
get them involved, and maybe with a little more advanced notice, maybe I could get them in on volume 3. I hope.
Well, fingers crossed. But I think there's going to be a volume three. And in fact, why don't we show them the Kickstarter page right now? Because people can still actually back the project with the late pledges.
Absolutely. Yep, it's still up. People can go visit the page. I hope they will. We've done well with the funding, but Kickstarter is, it's tricky. Yeah, we could still use more funding because, we have to pay fees to Kickstarter. We have to pay taxes on the
Yeah,
earnings. We have to pay the artists, we have to pay the authors. And, when it's all said and done, it's a very thin margin in this kind of project. When you're working on an anthology, as you may know, different from like a single creator book, like one
yeah,
person doing all the writing and illustration. Your costs are not quite as high unless you count the time spent, um,
yeah.
that sort of thing.
I
But
know
yeah,
exactly how that feels.
yeah, it's a thin margin, man.
It
So
is. It is.
Bob's not getting rich on this, but a couple more bucks in the till would really help us to pump up the quality of the book even more. So I hope
Yeah,
your reader or your viewers will consider providing a little additional support here. That'd be great.
I think they will. I honestly think they will. This is definitely up their alley, and it's definitely up my alley. So I think, yeah, you can get some, uh, late pledges.
I hope so. There's an image up there. Those are some of the characters who were featured in volume 1, and you can order volume 1 through this campaign as one of the rewards. We had Badger, we had Concrete, who was created by Paul Chadwick. If your viewers have not read Concrete by Paul Chadwick, oh, they need to read them. So, Ian, have you read Concrete?
I actually have read a couple of them because they had a
Yeah.
couple in my school's library. I
Okay.
read them. I was like, wow.
Right? What a great example of, the indie spirit, because he did something really different there. And yet
Yeah,
it resonated, right, with comic book storytelling. It had, some of the tropes, a superheroic character, the Rocky kind of character like the Thing,
yeah,
Golem kind of figure. And yet you really brought it down to earth, with the great characterizations and everything else. We have Mr. Monster in there, Flaming Carrot. If your readers are not familiar with Flaming Carrot, they should get familiar with that guy. He's great.
yeah.
And John Sable by Mike Grell. And just we have Grimjack by John Ostrander. Grimjack's incredible. Love Grimjack. I love everybody. And Cerebus, the Aardvark by Dave
I
Sim.
love the names. I love the names.
I know, right? And
Yeah.
they're all so unique. They're all such different characters. It's not just superhero X, superhero Y, superhero Z, with different powers and slightly different personalities. It's different people, different personality types, not just different
Yeah.
power sets, vastly different characters. And they all have vastly different kinds of stories and adventures. I mean, Cerebus is another one. If your viewers have not read Cerebus, man, they should do a deep dive. Especially, my goodness, what is it? I can't think of the titles now. Church and State.
Yeah.
That's the 2-volume Church and State set. If I had to recommend any particular piece, and High Society. High Society is sort of like one of the peaks of that series. Just such literary stuff. Outstanding.
Yeah. Okay, so obviously this is volume 2, and we're going more in depth of what you got in there.
Yeah. And then we talked about Garth Ennis. That's when we were talking about stretch goal there, which we met thanks to our backers. And we just went through all the creators here. Joe Staten, he's doing an E-Man story. So not only do we have Joe Staten, who, like, probably all your viewers are familiar with Joe Staten's work.
Oh, yes.
Right? But not everybody might be really up to speed on his past at Charlton Comics. They might not even know about Charlton Comics, depending on the age and what they've been reading. And Charlton Comics was like kind of a third semi-mainstream publisher back in the 70s, 80s.
Yeah.
Right? So we have a little bit of Charlton in there, which is sort of the spirit of indie before there was indie. So we got a little bit of everything in this volume. It's a real historical document, and every story is great and exciting, action-packed, characterization rich. Howard Chaykin, he didn't want to do like a superhero story, and he didn't really want to go back over the same old ground and revisit characters with whom he had spent so much time in the past. He kind of felt like he had said all he had to say about them, at least for the time being, at least for the moment.
Yeah.
So he wrote us a literary story, right? And I said, oh, okay, well, let's check it out. And it's fantastic. It's really good. And it's about like the history of comedy, and it's dynamite. Of course.
I like it, thinking outside the box. I like that.
Yeah. That's the only way that guy knows how to think.
Oh, yeah.
I mean that as a compliment. And E-Man by Joe Staten.
Yeah, I had read his run of Dick Tracy for a number of years.
Yeah.
He's a fantastic draftsman as well. Just
wow. It's such a unique look. You automatically, as soon as you see an illustration of his, just like, oh, that's
yeah. Yeah, you know exactly who it is.
Yep. And he can do it all. He can do satirical, comedy, humorous kind of comics. He can also do, dynamic superhero action, detective comics, as you've said. Mystery, noir, you name it. In our first volume, he did a Michael Mouser story. Michael Mouser was his hard-bitten, grungy, pint-sized private eye from E-Man.
Yeah.
And that's, he does him just as well as he does the more colorful, more satirical E-Man comics. He can do it all.
Man.
Just like Walt Simonson. Oh my God, that guy. I was at a con earlier this year where he was attending, and he never looked up from his drawing board, I don't think, more than like 10 seconds at a time. People were just like coming after, like, draw this, draw that. Everybody just wanted their own, individual things from him.
He's another great one. I had, glanced. I was obsessed with his Alien adaptation for a number of years because it was like, how did he do that?
Yep. I know, right? And that's something not everybody would know about. They got to seek it out. It's so good. Oh man, it was published by Heavy Metal.
I know. And what the crazy thing was with that was the director Ridley Scott was actually obsessed with Heavy Metal at the time. So I'm guessing he probably suggested, why don't you just have Simonson do this? Because he was another fan of Simonson's work as well.
Oh, I wonder.
Yeah.
Walt talked about that some at the con. I don't remember his stories, but yeah, he knew it had a big impact, which it did. I urge your viewers to seek that out.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
I'm sure they can find it. They can find it.
It's good. And is it available on ebook? It's probably, I'm sure it's out there.
I'm pretty sure it's on Amazon.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. When I keep thinking back in the past, like you can get anything now. I'm betraying my age, Ian.
Uh,
Sorry.
don't worry about it, man.
My
Don't worry
God.
about it.
In my imagination,
Uh,
I'm still 20 something, but in reality, no.
hey, that's all right. You know, when you're young at heart, when you're doing work like this, I mean, come on.
Hmm. And I have to say, I can honestly say, I know it's kind of a cliche, but this was truly a passion project for me. I envisioned this book for years. I always thought about doing it. I was like, I think that could work. And I just really, it just like kept building and building. And finally, I tried it last year and I was like, let's give it a shot and see if we can get anybody. I was talking to the creator of Mr. Monster. Uh,
Mm,
his name is escaping me now. Michael. Oh God, I'm so sorry. I can't remember. Anyway, I was talking to him at a show, and he
yeah,
urged me to give it a shot. And I'm so glad he did because it took off. I was able to get people. I just wasn't sure if I'd be able to get the creators interested,
yeah,
But yeah, I was able to find the right people to make that book a success. So truly, I loved putting the first volume together. I love putting this one together just as much. And I love doing these books.
yeah. I can see why. I mean, again, some of these creators, talented, insanely talented, and going back to some of these characters that you obviously read.
Yeah.
So that has to be like the biggest shit. Again, it is a passion project, but it has to be a biggest surprise to you saying, "Oh God, I never thought I was going to see these characters ever again." I'm so glad, and to get the original guys, at least some of them.
I always say it's the kind of book that even if I hadn't edited it, put it together, if somebody else had done it, I would have bought it in a heartbeat.
Yeah,
Something that I would have loved to have read. So I can truly say it's something from my heart, and
yeah,
I love to write. That's writing fiction, writing comics. That's my thing, and I really don't do that in this book. I'm in an editorial role, but it's worth it to bring this to life, bring these people together. Like we have Colleen Doran in this one. I mean, she is
oh
an
my God,
unparalleled, unparalleled artistic talent, right? Right?
that's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
Oh my God. Oh, she's been really active though, and I mean, she did a lot of work with Neil Gaiman, especially, and
Yeah,
did Good Omens with Neil and Terry Pratchett's estate. Published
yeah,
a graphic novel version of that, and among other things, her own work as well. I mean, she is so accomplished and so good, so freaking good. I mean, she's like top tier talent, and she was willing to bring her series, A Distant Soil, which is a sci-fi series that she's done off and on through the years. She was willing to bring a new story about that to this book. She's so good.
wow,
Oh my God.
wow,
And so willing to help the project and do what it took to help it succeed. I can't say enough good about her and about all these creators. Like, Mark Bodie. I
yeah.
mean, wow. And Cheech Wizard is a character you've probably seen on like a million graffitied overpasses
Oh yeah, yeah,
and culverts in your life. It's a character everybody's familiar with, and I'm so glad that we got to bring that character back to life. Though he never really disappeared, but I'm glad that we
yeah.
got to bring him into this book.
Absolutely.
The American, it's a great character. It comments a lot on American society, the modern world, loyalty, patriotism. I wouldn't say that character is partisan in any way, not
Hmm.
at all, but very representative of the times. And I think you can see some things from our modern political landscape, perhaps reflected in his adventures. And his original adventures were published years and years ago, but I think they were kind of prophetic in different ways. So it's great stuff. Mark Verheiden, who wrote that, like I said, he's a highly successful screenwriter. He did a lot of work on the newer version of Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah.
And Daredevil,
Yeah.
episodes of
Yeah.
Daredevil.
Yeah.
So
His writing was always on spot. I always felt, and when he made the transition doing Hollywood projects, I was like, this is perfect for him because he thinks bigger than life, and he also can tell really hard, gripping stories and great, great character development.
Well said. I think you've gotten to the crux of his excellence.
Yeah.
He's really good. There we go. A Distant Soil by Colleen Doran.
Oh man.
Just it's an amazing series. It's got a real sweeping scope, great characters. She's always as interested in characterization and story flow as she is in the minutia of artistic illustration, right?
Yeah.
She can do it all. And then we have the Desert Peach. We had to bring the Desert Peach back from Volume 1. And it's a unique story. I don't know. Are you familiar with the Desert Peach?
No, I'm not familiar with this character.
Yes. Good. Well, it's something new for you to discover. There's a little something for everybody here. It's sort of about, let's see, if you're familiar with World War II,
Mm-hmm.
you know, Rommel the Desert Fox. He had a younger brother in this fictional universe created by Donna Barr, right? The great cartoonist Donna Barr. And his younger brother was less than, what should I say here? Less than aggressively macho, maybe. I don't know if that's the right way to put it. But he was known as the Desert Peach instead of the Desert Fox. And this is a character created by Donna. And Desert Peach kind of hangs out in the desert with his group. And they just have strange adventures, and it's a whole commentary on war and life, and it's really interesting to say the least. So, and Donna's amazing. Like, I didn't know the full depth and breadth of her body of work. She's done it all, man. Look her up.
Yeah.
Already. She's
I'm going to.
She's a hell of a cartoonist, and she's a firebrand. I love her. She's great. Highly recommended.
I gotta have to some of these people on the show then.
Yeah. Oh, should be good. Any of these books would be great.
Yeah.
Pagoda, science fiction comic with like a sort of a canine alien who comes to Earth, has adventures. It was a big deal back in the day, back in the 80s. By Jan Strenod. He was the writer, and then Dennis Fujitaki was the artist. So we brought that back. And the same with Fashion and Action. That was another series that made a splash in Eclipse. It's an Eclipse comic series. It started out in the back of Scout by Timothy Truman. Not that was on my wish list, but do a Scout story. Oh my God. Gotta try again. Keep trying. But anyway, Fashion and Action, it's out there. It's cool. John K. Snyder illustrated it, and he did our cover. Actually, he's the artist who did our cover. He's a great guy.
Wow.
Yeah. And then we have Femme Force by Bill Black. Superheroic, straight up superheroism, but with Bill's own unique twist. And this is one of the most long-lived, continuously published comic series, I think, in history, or maybe it's one of the most long-lived indie comic series. I don't know, one of the two, but it's been around forever. His company AC Comics has been around for forever as well, and so he's a guy who is still working from the original indie comics explosion back in the 80s. He's still doing the work. Yeah, still making it happen.
Yeah, this is fantastic.
Yeah, it's really good.
Oh
Sticks
my God.
Ty Templeton. Yeah, you know Ty Templeton.
Yeah.
I love his Sunday Funnies. You ever see those on Facebook? Or
yeah, I do.
I love him. I read him every week. I love his work.
Oh my God.
He did this series about this guy who gets stuck in hell, and has adventures that spin off from there. It's a lot of satire, a lot of Swiftian kind of satire. And an interesting point about this is the main character, when he goes to hell, he dies with his pants off. And so he ends up without trousers. And it's interesting because that's a twist that I thought was done for the first time, because I'd forgotten about that from Stig's Inferno. But it was in the show Ghosts, right? The sitcom Ghosts on CBS, which was a spin-off, a recreation of a series from the BBC. And here he did it first. So if you're looking for a pantsless character in an afterlife adventure, you don't have to watch Ghosts. Just read the Stig's Inferno story.
That is true. Man.
Roberta Gregory's Naughty Bits. It's not like it sounds. That's the name of the series in which she published this character called Bitchy Bitch, who, as the name suggests, had some bones to pick with the world and with life. And she did it in her own unique and furious way. And this was in the what we would think of back in the day as alternative cartooning, right? Alternative comics. You might think of Fantagraphics, right? Or Drawn and Quarterly. Some of the stuff from Top Shelf, stuff that was not exactly in the mainstream, not even really in the mainstream of indie. It's sort of its own separate tributary. And she was really powerful force, did a lot of award-winning comics, and they're doing a reprint of her work, collected work, over 500 pages.
Wow.
I think for Fantagraphics, like right now, I think it's available for order. So she's something, a great person as well.
Fantastic.
Star Child by James Artemis Owen, sort of a sci-fi fantasy series that was popular back in the day. He's bringing it back for this story. And he's a real evangelist for indie publishing in general. He does a lot of work with younger authors and does a lot of fiction, a lot of prose work to begin with. So it was natural for him to transition from comics into prose for this project. And of course, this guy, right? You ever read Faust comics?
I read one issue. I have to get the rest of them, but the artwork is just stunning, and the storytelling is really
and visceral.
Yes, that's the appropriate term.
Strong subject matter, yes, but you know, it was really influential back in the day. He was part of that whole mature readers kind of stream that sort of started up in the mid 80s, early to mid 80s, and that's when that really took off. And in mainstream, it sort of took the form of like Wolverine and Dark Knight and other characters like that. But on the indie side, it developed in its own way, and it became even stronger, more visceral, more graphic. And in fact, Frank Miller eventually ended up doing Sin City and other work in that direction. So Faust was part of that. Yeah. Twilight Man by Stephen Grant. Stephen Grant created Whisper. That ninja-like character who was published first by Capital Comics and then by First, and I think ended up at Dark Horse. I think. Don't quote me on that. And Stephen's a great guy and a hell of a creator, a hell of a storyteller. Twilight Man is another of his creations aside from Whisper, and he was interested in telling a new story with that character, so he brought him back. Oh, and this next guy,
folks.
I'm telling you, this next guy, oh my God, is this good? Frankenstein
Mobster?
Yes. Oh, it is so good. I hate to spoil it in any way.
Okay, I really have to buy this. I have to buy this, my God.
I'm telling you, this story itself, I'm like, obviously, I'm very enthusiastic about this. I'm not like trying to, buy my book because of I mean, this is such a great freaking story. When I read it, it knocked my socks off. Knocked me on my butt.
God.
It's so good. It's a unique character, and he's worked with Frankenstein Mobster in comics, right? And it's sort of like this monstrous figure who actually has multiple ghosts inhabiting his body. Most of them are villains. Most of them are like criminals, except there's a cop in there too. And then
oh my God,
he gets involved. But it's total noir plus a strong flavor of hardcore, hard-bitten crime and shoot 'em up stuff, and yet it's so well written, so artfully presented. Like, he can tell a story. Mark Wheatley is not only artistically talented, he did Mars back in the 80s, if you remember that. Mars was a comic, it was a big hit back in the day, and excuse me, he's done lots of comics work, and in fact, I think anyway, I'm not going to go off on a tangent there, but he is such a good prose writer. Such a great prose writer. I love this story. Knocked me off my feet. So
wow,
I can't say enough good things about it. This whole book, all these creators are just great. Nobody phoned it in. And of course,
that's good.
By Henry Vogel. He's the guy who did Southern Nights. He created Southern Nights as well. We had them in volume 1. So this time he's doing an ex-thieves, aristocratic extraterrestrial time traveling thieves, to be, to spell it all out. And they're comedic, satirical, sci-fi action kind of series. And they were really, really popular back in the 80s, like a big hit, a big smash hit. So we're glad to bring them back, not only in their own story, but then also as the key figures in the crossover story.
Oh, man.
And we have an introduction by Ed Vick, who founded Moo Press, which was pretty influential. And it's a really good introduction. He did a great job with it. So he was there in the early days of the indie revolution, and he's seen it all, and he has interesting things to say about it. He's really a great guy. Donna Barr introduced me to him.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it really is. I gotta say, I can't wait to read this thing. I can't wait to hold it in my hands, because it's not there yet. I still have so much work to do, but it'll get there.
Man.
Yeah. And like I said, we have illustrations. Thanks to our backers, we had these 2 stretch goals. Once we got through those, we were able to fund the illustrations, and they're also excellent.
And we always the crossover story.
Yep. And we always go for content. If we do have anything that was created and that was not newly created for the book, for example, the illustrations, some of those were created previously, but we make sure that they were unpublished, or at least not seen by many people. So, this is almost 100% new stuff in this book. And it's not easy to do.
No, it's not. It's not.
I gotta keep pushing my creators. I'm like, come on, more.
Yeah.
We have just about everything at this point. But it's a great project. And I really, I'm so grateful for the support of the backers who have made it possible. The book will happen. It will have all these elements that you've seen. And it's just a matter of pulling it together and maybe giving it just a little bit more oomph. So if we can get a couple more bucks in the till, maybe I can jazz it up even a little bit more.
Well, I'm definitely sold. I'm definitely sold on it. I'm sold on the whole thing. You obviously went past your goal. Originally was $5,000, but now it's like 14,800. Wow.
Yeah. Well,
that's fantastic.
You know how crowdfunding works, right? I mean, of course, like you set that funding goal as low as you can stomach. Because
but then
you don't want to put
watch it up, and then
Yep. You just with your hand, you have just accurately portrayed the entire sales cycle, the funding cycle of a typical Kickstarter campaign.
It's like watching the stock market. That's about it.
Yeah. It's like boom, smack, and then and then bing.
Oh man.
But it's so you always start out as low as you can go, but it was always going to cost a lot more than $5,000 to put this book together. Even where we are now, a couple more dollars would not be in vain and would not go into Bob's pocket. I can tell you that. So it's great stuff. And I'm so grateful that you had me on and enabled me to talk to your viewers and talk to you about the project. Because as you can tell, I'm very excited about it. And I'm very excited about the world of indie and the possibilities.
You should be excited, because this is an exciting project, and this is an exciting time for indie creators, especially when you're doing it on Kickstarter. So I'm very grateful that you were able to share with us this project. I definitely want to back it, so I got to find some time to buy some stuff, but also buy some of your work in particular as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, which, by the way, you can actually find Robert's work on this website. See, there's a link below. And obviously, this is his main page, which shows what he's currently working on and some of these other interesting looking titles. Yeah. I'm gonna be shopping for a couple of days.
Thank you. I've written a lot. I've written a lot over the years, and I just love it. I've got the writing bug, and I've had hundreds of short stories published and novels, and and comics, of course. I continue to
Yeah.
work on comics projects. I've got several things coming out in the near future. I'm just not sure of the exact publication dates. I wish I
Okay.
could talk about them more.
Yeah.
But I do have some big news coming up soon. So look forward to sharing that.
Well, if you feel like ever sharing with us at some point,
Yeah.
please let me know.
I wouldn't even mind just
Uh,
coming on and blabbing. I could talk for hours about this stuff.
yeah, absolutely. We could definitely compare. Who had the best run. Which was the
Mhm.
best comic that we think in this particular period. And yeah, definitely come back and let's talk about it.
Yeah, have me over whenever. I'd love to talk to you again. I've really enjoyed this, Ian. Thank you.
Uh, of course,
Yeah,
of
man.
course. Before we actually do go, I do want to show something I've been working on for a little bit now. I know you guys know that I've been working on issue 5 of Conan Hunter. The pages are almost complete for the pencils. I did want to show you one page in particular that I was very proud of.
Ooh,
Yeah,
nice.
a lot of stuff happens in this issue, and it's gonna have a big payoff for the finale. But yeah, I was really proud of the pages that I've done so far. As maybe I'm very obviously critical of my own work, but I have to say I have gotten better, and I hope to keep getting better as I go along. Yeah, but that's a page from
Wow.
issue 5, and that's all I'm going to show you right now because
Oh.
I really want you to buy this book.
I love the 3-panel sequence at the top where he's like getting closer to the guy and then closer and then chink.
Yeah.
Really nice. Nice dynamic action there.
Well, that's another thing. As I've started to gain more confidence in writing the scripts, I was like, okay, this is exactly what I want to see. And I wanted to throw back to some of the comics that I love reading growing up, especially from the 90s. I had The Rocketeer in mind when I was starting to write this particular issue because
Yeah.
the way that Dave wrote that and illustrated that, it's just,
Mm-hmm. He was so good.
he was so good. He was so good.
And he was like it felt like he came to the world of comics fully formed. And I don't know
Yeah.
the full career arc there, but he was just like
Yeah.
when he popped, everybody went wild. And like I had never seen work quite like his in comics at that time. It was just like, wow. He was
Yeah, I had his sister on not too long ago. I think it was a year ago. She's a lovely lady, and she was telling me in more in depth about it. But if you really want to get the full experience, you gotta watch his documentary because they tell us a lot of stories about that, how he really got into the artwork, and he was notorious for not finishing his projects, but still, when you saw the end results, you're like, wow.
yeah, he was amazing. He's another guy. As soon as you saw anything by him, you're like, yeah, Dave Stevens.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh yeah,
Walt Simonson, so many artists I think are kind of interchangeable.
yeah.
I hate to say it. But I mean, at a glance, right? You look at them, you're like, this could be that guy, or this could be that guy. But then guys like that are so idiosyncratic and so talented. They just like, you just recognize their work immediately.
Oh yeah. Robert, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show to share this with us.
Thank
I
you.
definitely got to make sure this gets promoted even further to get some a bit more money. I definitely got back it when I can, and yeah, because I wanted this in my hands. I want to read this.
I appreciate it, Ian. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate you having me on. It was just, if for no other reason, if I don't even get any backing out of this at all, it just was a pleasure to be here, and I love talking to you. It was a real kick. Thank you.
Well, definitely come on back. Definitely come on back. We'll talk more comics.
Joie du comics.
Au revoir. And folks, thank you for coming on. I'm Ian Miller, and this has been Triple Threat Comics YouTube channel. Have a good night.